And they're seeing an apparent increase in bandwidth as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, even when every single person is on the phone, they're still seeing more bandwidth than they would have seen had they done an additional T1. This is a great example, and the reason we included this is that it's not about throwing additional hardware or bandwidth out there. It's going through the network assessment step by step, so at the end of it, you can understand how do I get more efficient with what I'm doing today.
Right. So, and again, this is a one-location site with a typical sort of small business environment, right? I mean, so about how many users were in this environment?
Originally, when they had started with us, they had a full floor of an office building, so they had about 60 to 75 people on staff at that location. When we met with them to kind of talk about converting this, they had actually dropped that staff down to about 40 to 45, and they had about another 30 to 40 deployed in the field. So the way they ran their business had changed, and therefore their network assessment needed to be done to understand how their network had needed to change.
Right. And
so
yeah, it's not a huge business, and this kind of solution will go down all the way to the 20 person office if need be. So.
Well, absolutely, and because this was an architecture firm, obviously with the size of CAD files and the drawings that they were sending, the data was a priority to them more so than it would be for maybe another organization that was the same size or even smaller. The great thing about this product, this dynamic IP product, is that it scales up from 1.5 up to about 9 to 10 megs. So if we were talking to an organization that was maybe 15 to 20 individuals, we could look at possibly doing a 1.5 dynamic IP, same type of configuration, but just scale to meet their needs.
Right, and of course this is all business class service, so you're getting the business level guarantees that you wouldn't get with a sort of a cable modem or something, or DSL or those kinds of things, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if we wanted to get into it, I mean, there's service level agreements for every single thing we sell. There's 5 nines reliability. The way we service after the sale could be a whole other conversation. But you bring up a great point. These are business grade services, and there's a time and a place for those types of services. The symmetrical DSL and the broadband over a cable are great small business SOHO or residential applications. But when you get into the business, the mean time to repair and the reliability just isn't enough to run a business, in my opinion.
Gotcha. So let's talk a little bit about where you guys view the line. I mean, I think we mentioned it earlier, but want to reinforce it a little bit. Your involvement. Paytech views your involvement to what point, and at what point do you hand off to a provider like Evolv?
We get to the point of basically the router, and in this screenshot that we have in front of us right here, you can see that the Paytech provided the Cisco 2801 in this case, and then the PBX, the phone system, the LAN switch, and the LAN architecture is something that we could always look at, partnering with an Evolv on. We don't get into that LAN infrastructure. If an organization wants to look at us as a end-to-end voice provider, and actually the handset that they're using is provided and managed by Paytech, we can look at that as well. But at that piece of hardware, that's about where we end. It really is up to the customer and an Evolv to really understand the LAN, the infrastructure, and maybe the management of software and applications. We're not going to manage software applications and the like. We're going to give you the conduit to run those applications, but not the day-to-day management of it.
Right, and of course that's where we hand off, is we always take it right at the firewall, and we actually include that little black line that connects into your route, into the router there. That's the piece that we all manage, and we've got our monitoring and management pieces to take it from that piece on and take over the applications, and that's why the partnership works so well.
Yeah, it's a seamless handoff at that point, Dave, and I think that's where we get into that real true partnership, where we've got the customer, the business owner, the Paytech, and Evolv sitting at the table. It's a much more salient and effective network assessment at that point, because we can talk everything from the desktop and phone system to the outside world, start to finish.
Right, and we have connections at multiple levels, from our engineers to our sales teams, and then at our level, the sales directors and stuff. So there's more than one contact point when we're able to work together, right?
Oh, I would hope so, Dave, because when it comes to, I can talk to a lot of the things that we've deployed, but when it comes to the technical aspect of it, I bring in a network design specialist to speak to the engineer at the organization, and more often than not, there's probably 2 or 3 folks from the Paytech side that would be involved on any level, because again, we want to make sure that when it comes to deployment, we're deploying the correct solution for the organization. So if I'm meeting with a business owner, that individual, he or she, will not be able to talk to their LAN infrastructure, firewall, box, and current router configuration. That's not their focus. Their focus is the overriding direction the company is going, and that's really what I want to understand. They can bring in their technical expertise. They can bring in Evolv. I can bring in my own technical expertise, and they can figure out the bytes and bits. I'm more concerned about understanding what is the end game. What are we trying to get to, and making sure we get there for the client.
Yeah, and we certainly are approaching it the same way, and that's why we've integrated, your piece into our traditional network assessment, where we'll look at the servers and the desktops and the switches and all of those. We think this is a nice complementary option. So I'll certainly open it up for anybody that's on the call, and if there are other questions, please raise your hand in the chat and let us know. Michael, was there something that we didn't cover in all this discussion that you really think is important about the way this works?
Well, I think the hope of this educational seminar, in my mind, is to come away with an understanding that it really has to be a partnership from the start. And we have the best customer relationships when we can sit down with a new prospect or a new business and really understand what they're trying to accomplish. And when we have that kind of open communication and dialogue, it's a much easier process for everyone involved. And I think the end result is much cleaner and much more in line with what the customer expectation is and what the customer need is. As I've mentioned, one of the founding principles is open communication for Paytech, and when we start that relationship with that open communication and dialogue, the end result is far better than if we don't.
I agree 100%. And again, so I will sort of spend the moment or two telling everybody, if you're interested in what we've been talking about here, if you've listened to this webinar and you want to reach out to us, our contact information is on the slide. You can reach us at 703-426-7100, or extension 117, or you can email us at info@evolvtech.com. For anybody that's listened to the webinar, we're happy to schedule both a complimentary Paytech network assessment as well as an Evolv one to look at your LAN and WAN and infrastructure as a holistic piece. That's something we wanted to offer that anybody that's listened. Again, if there are no other questions, Michael, I really want to thank you for coming on and taking the time to talk about this. We really like teaching people about what the options that are out there are and what they can, how they can look at leveraging the pieces they've got better. So I really appreciate your time and talking with us today.
Hey, Dave, it was my pleasure. I was happy to do it. Thanks so much for inviting me.
So again, thank you everybody for listening in, and look for more webinars in the future. Thanks.